Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Western New York Athletics Live here at St. Francis High School for the site of the Monsignor Martin Class A Championship game. My name is Jacob Flack. Alongside with me, our color commentator, Colin Wood. Colin, as we go into this game, we have about less than 3 minutes from the start of this contest. Red Raiders, Canisius Crusaders, a rematch of last year's Monsignor Martin Championship.
Yeah, and they've played in the last couple, actually. These have kind of been the two Goliaths of the class, and they met earlier in the season. St. Francis got the best of Canisius, 36-13, and what really was a lopsided game in terms of first downs, 22-6 in favor of the Red Raiders. Total yards, 396 to 147. Canisius never really found their footing on offense, but we know they have the high-powered they have the high-powered scheme and the talent to be able to do that, and I'm expecting a far closer affair this time around.
And now we can hear a little bit of the boos as Canisius comes out of their locker room and onto the turf. Canisius last game defeated St. Joe's. Not only was it a rematch of last year's Monsignor Martin semifinal matchup, and not only did they win that game last year, they also shut out St. Joe's. This year, 17-0. And the big one in that contest was Nicholas Penyuchev, who's been the main starting quarterback for the Crusaders throughout the season. He was taken out early on in the game, and Vincent Zimmerman, a guy who him and Penyuchev have had a battle back and forth before the start of the season. Zimmerman took over, had a phenomenal outing with over 200 yards passing and 2 touchdowns. So it'll be interesting to see if you go to the guy that's been with you all season, or you go to Zimmerman, who not only replaced Penyuchev in the semifinal round, but was hot in that contest.
But that is a luxury for Coach Craig Krzansky, knowing that if one of your quarterbacks doesn't get off to a hot start, you have another guy to substitute in there. Or it is rare, but some coaches like to go with a multiple quarterback system. Maybe one is more of a pocket passer, maybe more is one of a dual threat. We don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But, yeah, like you said, they defeated St. Joe's, and that was a lopsided game for the Crusaders.
So right now, we will now head towards the national anthem.
Defend our freedom, both here and at home and abroad, with the playing of a national anthem by St. Francis Red Raider, Bryson Pace.
One of those rare moments in high school football where instead of you get someone singing the national anthem, you got someone playing the national anthem off their electric guitar. Phenomenal performance there. Monsignor Martin Class A Championship. Can't get pumped better than that. That's how you're able to start off a nice pregame here on Western New York Athletics.
No, it is championship football here, Jake. I couldn't be more excited. We've had some great games yesterday. There's still some games going on today. It's really just about who wants it more. You know your opponent at this point. You know what to expect. You have your second stringers in practice. You'll have them simulating the opponent's offense throughout the week, so you kind of get it engraved in your head what you're going to be seeing over the course of the game.
And then you have our wonderful Alex Colsty. You can't see it on our broadcast, but we can see it here in the broadcast booth as they have the Class B championship game going on right now. Iroquois and Pioneer. Iroquois up 18-7 in that one with 46 seconds left to go in the third quarter. But let's get back to this game here real quick. Interesting thing we'll see here. You know, first thing I want to see is how much if Zimmerman or Penychev get involved. It looked like during pregame warm-ups that Penychev will be the starting guy. He has shown a guy to have a nice, you know, velocity on the ball so they can try to get the passing game going. They have a nice running attack as well. Whereas for St. Francis, they're able to get a nice dominant running attack as well. And along with a nice offensive lineman they've had throughout the season of Marcus Harrison, the junior offensive and defensive tackle who's had received multiple Division I offers. So team with one good running attack. Canisius is shown to be a little bit more all around, but yet again, with this weather, who's going to have the more of the run game here as this rain keeps trickling down?
Well, I think in this weather, Jake, you really hit the nail on the head there with St. Francis. That their staple and their identity is the run game. They have a nice two running back tandem. Ricardo Kidd, he's your 1,000-yard back. Meanwhile, Terrence Pendergrass, he's got 530 yards and 9 touchdowns on the year. They have a nice 1-2 punch going. So that might hurt Canisius. I'm sure we won't see too many deep balls, maybe try to get the quick pass game going early, but they're going to have to find a way to make up for that pass game that they might be missing. And even though it's not downpouring, the rain has sort of calmed down as the day has gone on, it's still going to play a factor, I feel.
Head coach Craig Krasansky for Canisius comes into this about 15 season, his first year as Canisius head coach. Previously worked past 15 seasons at the Williamsville South program, and for Canisius head coach Jerry Smith has been part of that varsity program since 1988. But one thing that both these coaches have in common, they can win championships.
Yeah, they're long-tenured guys in the business, both coaching for 30-plus years at the varsity level in high school. So I'm sure they've been around the block a few times. They know what to expect, and they're willing to make adjustments as the game goes on.
And you see out there right now St. Francis with their all-black uniforms with the dark red numbering. Canisius with their white uniforms, navy blue pants, and the white numbering. Phenomenal jersey night from the fans' perspective. From a broadcaster's perspective, we like to call that a nightmare.
And I can certainly agree with you there, Jake.
Squib kick, and we are underway here for the championship game, starting on the far right side of the field as he goes towards St. Francis sideline, trying to get past the 30 and down close to the 35-yard line. They might put him there, maybe around the 34, and St. Francis will start off with their first offensive possession of the game.
Well, in this game, Jake, it's all about ball security. That ball's going to get wet at times, and it's really hard to avoid, having a clean game across the board, no fumbles, no turnovers whatsoever. But if you can do your best to limit those, you really put your team in a winning position.
Offensive line gets set in formation. The man at the helm, Steve Otremba Jr., the senior quarterback, as they'll hand it off towards the left side. Got room and open space with one blocker to beat. Down towards the 20, the 10, and he will coast in the end zone for a St. Francis touchdown. Ricardo Kidd on one play, able to take it 65 yards to the house.
And what an opening statement there for the Red Raiders. And you saw that time they lined up. They ran that play to the side of their big left tackle. Number 73, Marcus Harrison. He's 6'8". He's listed at 6'8", 295. And he really is sort of a house there on the left side of the line. They had a couple wingbacks there coming around as well just to lead the way. There was a convoy of blockers for Kidd, and he was virtually untouched that whole time. He just had to do his best best track star impression there.
The snap is down. The kick is on the way, and it is good for Mario Camillo, the junior. And just like that, 22 seconds into this game, we already got points on the board for St. Francis. They're up 7-0, but we'll stay here real quick on the broadcast to mention about a couple of guys. We said it right away at the start of this game. The offensive lineman, Marcus Harrison, they went to the left side right away. They took advantage of it with some nice blocking, able to get a big spot for their running back, Ricardo Kidd, to take it to the house. And it's funny you mentioned about the speed of Ricardo Kidd. That's one of the main things he worked on in the offseason was speed training, plus learning how to read blocks and seeing how the plays develop. When I spoke to head coach Jerry Smith, he says that Ricardo Kidd has pride and doesn't like to go down easily. You saw right there, as soon as he's able to get the legs moving, he was going to go off from there, and he was able to show it with that speed he's worked on this offseason.
Well, as a running back especially, you know, it's one thing to have that natural talent, but you mix that in with the football IQ, the patience, the letting your offensive line, your blocks get set up, and then you're able to view and scan the field from there as to where you're going to take off from there. That's what really makes a great running back.
So if you guys are just tuning in right now here on West York Athletics, the Monsignor Martin Class A title game, St. Francis quickly up 7-0. First play on their drive, opening drive, 22 seconds in. They took it 65 yards for a score by Ricardo Kidd. Now Canisius trying to respond as well as the ball slips through the returner's hands. He's got to quickly make an adjustment, trying to shake off a couple of tackles, and down at the 15-yard line. And you mentioned earlier before the start of this game, Colin, how that ball can be slippery. That's what we just saw from the kick returner.
Yeah, it was, and luckily for the Crusaders, they're not starting this drive inside their own 2-yard line, as they easily could be right now based on that play. But now for Canisius, how do you respond to that? The team that beat you earlier in the year just scored easily with high-styled fashion on the first play of the game. How do you respond to that, knowing that, you know, you've been in this position before, but now you got to keep matching those punches. Every time they hit you in the mouth, you got to strike back.
And right now it looks like it's Nicholas Penyuchev out there starting QB for Canisius. He didn't play the rest of the game in the semifinals against St. Joe's. He's been their main guy this season. They're going to stick with him. Off the draw play, trying to get past the 15. He may have gotten a yard or so on the carry.
And how you answer a punch like that, no matter what the score is, whether it's within one possession or a couple, is you stick to your team's identity. A lot of times you see teams get behind and they steer away from their staple and their identity. They try to get too fancy, or they try to get too many chunk plays, when you really just have to stick to what makes you good for Canisius, and that's really a mix of everything.
They go 3 wide. We got Mike Doctor along with another receiver in the slot. One man in motion on the right side. Quick pass, and that is deflected, and it falls incomplete. That is number 4 there for the Red Raiders. Jeremiah Neely able to come in and deflect the pass.
Number 4, Jeremiah Neely. 3rd and 9.
So now as St. Francis will make their much-needed substitutions on defense, the setup of 3rd and 9. They'll stick with that same formation on the last play. This time they bunch up on the right side with 2 wide receivers, 1 on the far left side. Now another man in motion. They actually go to a 4 wide receiver set. The snap, trying to look on the right side of the field. This pass is caught by Doctor, picking up the first down and more with a burst of speed. Past the 45, past the midfield marker, and down into St. Francis territory at around the 45-yard line. And that's been one of the key success for this season, is that passing and receiving game. Doctor can make big plays, and he showed it there as the Red Raiders are now backed up in their own territory off that Canisius pass.
Well, that was an absolute laser there by Penyuchev. He stood strong in the pocket, found his number 2 receiver in Doctor, streaking across the middle, just found the soft spot there. And you see what makes him so special were the yards after catch. He could have easily been tackled, made a couple guys miss, and now they're in plus territory at the 45.
1 man in motion, moving from right to left. Now we got another one. They fake that option pass, and now they try to run it up the gut, and he's immediately stuffed, losing about a couple of yards or so, almost back to the midfield marker. See, they officially spot it. It'll be between that 48, 49-yard line, still in St. Francis zone.
Well, in a game like this, the first down play is so crucial because, you know, when you're facing, I mean, you look at the defensive line for St. Francis, the sheer size and strength they have up front. It's going to be hard to run against the teeth of that. So if they can find a way to just pick up 2 or 3 yards, I know it's not much, but it's positive. And it's much better than 2nd and 13. It sets you up in a better position to convert the first down.
They go 4 wide with trips to the right, 1 to the left. The snap looking one-on-one coverage, and that one is also intercepted, able to snag it, and will take it all the way for a Red Raider touchdown, a pick 6. Beautiful job by the Raiders to make this now a double-digit lead. It looked like it was actually a fumble on the play that was picked up by St. Francis, but a beautiful job there to take it all the way for the touchdown. That was Shane Geiser there, able to make the big defensive play.
And that wasn't really one of those broken down plays. Penychev got the snap, and then in a split second, Geiser was right in his face. He never even really had time to scramble or think about throwing it away, because then he was already on the ground, and that ball was going the other way for a touchdown. So great start to this game for the Red Raiders so far. It has been flawless. Now for Canisius, though, like I said, just got to keep doing what you're doing, take some time off the clock, and a nice methodical drive to wear down the Red Raider defense would be essential right now.
So Camille, it's going to be a fake. 2-point conversion is good. Oh, St. Francis so far, not even 3 minutes into this game, pulling out the trickery on the fake point after try. They go up now 15-0. With 9:14 left to go here in the first quarter, we'll take a break here in the action. You're watching Western New York Athletics. No, it was a fumble recovery. Well, welcome back, everyone, to Western New York Athletics. Still seeing a little bit of technical difficulties from our commercial side, so hopefully we'll try to get those back up as soon as possible. But with 9:14 left to go in the first quarter, 15-0 is our score in favor of St. Francis on their home turf, ready to boot the ball down the field. Inside the 15-yard line, they trying to run it up the gut and met up immediately as the penalty marker's down. Originally initiating the contact on the defensive side, Christian Smith, the sophomore, was able to come up there and bring the defender down. Now we got a penalty on the play going up against Canisius' receiving team. So it's for one team that's off to a red-hot start for Canisius. Just adding a little bit more to that wound, but very early on in this game, a lot of stuff can happen, Colin. We've seen this happen, a good amount of times here in high school football. St. Francis has got to try to keep the momentum.
Right, and all it takes is a couple plays. We just saw Penychev connect with Doctor over the middle that set them up in business, and if it weren't for the turnover, they could have kept driving and potentially be knocking on the door. Like you said, though, a lot of game left.
The run up the gut and stuffing them down, going absolutely nowhere, losing about a couple of yards on the play as Canisius had one big successful play. That was from Penychev to Mike Doctor, but since then, St. Francis defense has been stellar so far.
And you see why they barely give up any rush yards. As a team, they're very stout in the run. You can see why, because that interior prevents any offense from getting north and south in between the tackles. And then they have linebackers and defensive backs out in space where it's almost impossible to run against them east to west. So they really are the perfect 11 guys to be able to stop the ground game.
With one man in motion, getting it back to his original spot, Penychev feeling the pressure right away, and we'll have to chuck this immediately out of bounds as he was tackled into the end zone. not trying to get a safety here, not trying to get the Red Raiders any more points than what they already have.
Pass is incomplete.
Well, and so far, if it continues as is, it's going to be that type of night for Penyuchev where he's going to have to get the ball out quick. They're going to have to start running some screens, just simple quick throws where he doesn't have the ball for more than a second. And if they start to pick up a couple first downs, then the St. Francis defense will become honest and they'll respect it. But as of right now, it's been negative play after negative play, and they are bear hugging the line of scrimmage.
Going with 4 wide receiver set, 2 to the left and right with 1 running back into the backfield. Here's the snap. Quick pass. It is caught. And able to hold up and bring it down past the original line of scrimmage. Able to gain a couple more yards, but still well before the first down marker. They got to get to the 25 to get it.
Pendergrass with the tackle. Gain of about 5 brings up 4th and 7.
Now they're going to line up going for a 5 wide receiver set. Also setting up for a possible pooch kick, and that's what they're going to do. Booting this one well in the St. Francis territory as it rolls around inside the 40 and officially stopping at the St. Francis 39-yard line.
Jake, we haven't really seen what this Canisius defense is about. Obviously, that's not a good first impression when you give up a long touchdown run on the first play of the game, but we have to see if they can answer now because the Canisius offense has been struggling. It's up to them now to give their offense some kind of life force, maybe give them a short field to work with and try and flip the field position a little bit. Because right now they are losing that battle too as well.
And that's been one thing we've seen so far through St. Francis recently is they've had their number against Canisius, defeating them in the Monsignor Martin Championship last season. And then recently is October 22nd, where the Red Raiders won 36-13. And it's the first time ever that they beat the Crusaders at their own home field at Robert J. Stransky Complex. Penalty marker down as they get close to the first down marker, but it's going to be against the offense, and it'll push them back.
Yeah, in that game for St. Francis, you saw a little bit of everything. Ricardo Kidd, he had a nice 130-yard game. Pendergrass had 2 rushing touchdowns, and Logan Riska, he had two receiving touchdowns as well to go along with 5 catches and 66 yards.
So they're going to put them out in a 2 wide receiver set. So Tremba and 1 running back in the backfield. Now they move 1 guy out to the right side, making it 3 wide receivers. Here's the snap. Rolling out to the right side, and it's going to be a handoff. Trying to find a way to fool a little bit of this Canisius interior and able to gain a couple yards back off that big penalty.
If Canisius can get a stop here in this down and distance situation, it's really going to be a blessing. That holding call, too, as well. They got St. Francis behind the sticks right where they want them. They're going to have to come up with a stop here early on to sort of swing the momentum back in their favor.
Now they go about 4 wide receiver set. Kidd right next to his quarterback, Otremba. Now for a deep shot downfield, and it's caught. And he's able to stay in bounds. There goes Logan Riska for the touchdown. And 2 offensive plays equal to 2 scores. And they all end up in deep plays that end up for 6 points for St. Francis.
That pass, that corner route could not have been thrown any better by Otremba. Right to the sideline, over the shoulder, where only Riska can catch it. But how about the balance, the agility, and the awareness to stay in bounds by Logan Riska, the 6'5", 220 tight end and receiver.
Camillo's point after try is on the way, and it is good with 6:30 remaining here in the first quarter. St. Francis is up 22-0. And we'll stay here on the broadcast side of things as, you know, talked a little bit before the start of the game about the game plan. And the one thing for head coach St. plan was just very simple. Make sure they're focused and ready to go. Well, Colin, it seems like so far they've done that so far.
I think they've been more than focused and ready to go. I think they have something to prove that they are and consistently have been the best team in Monsignor Martin in this division. You've seen it time in and time out, the sheer dominance. They've played great all year, and we were talking to one of the main administrators pregame and how he talked about these teams. They will travel interstate to go play games just to fill up the schedule, but they don't do that to win. What he said was that they'll do that to get better. They'll go find the toughest possible opponents and fill up their schedule with just gauntlet after gauntlet to make them better. And you can see here early on how that's paying dividends for St. Francis.
Yeah, absolutely. And, couldn't have asked, especially on your home turf, for a possible better start. You're even seeing Camillo trying to get the student section here at St. Francis pumped up and ready. Now he's ready to boot it off. Close to the 15-yard line. They'll try running up the middle, and he tackled immediately at the 25-yard line. Number 32 in on the tackle for St. Francis.
32, Joe Littlejohn with the tackle.
And right now, Canisius is going to have to figure something out. Obviously, that rain's not doing them any favors. But if they can pick up a couple first downs, that's all they have to do. Even if they don't necessarily score on this drive, flip the field position, just build some confidence. And eventually that leads into something greater as the game progresses.
So they got 4 guys, now 5 and 6, trying to stack the box a bit. Here it goes from Penuchev to Doctor, and it just sails a little bit too far into the St. Francis sidelines for an incomplete pass to bring up second down.
And that wasn't a bad throw by Penuchev or a bad route by Doctor. From what it seems already is that pressure early on so far, halfway through this first quarter, it's starting to get in the mind of Penuchev. You can see there he just looked a little uncomfortable with that throw, never really planted his back foot, and that one just sailed on him.
Staying back into the shotgun formation, Penuchev's pass, and the slant was there for Doctor, but it slips through the hands and it falls incomplete.
3rd and 10.
And Jake, I played receiver in high school, and I know how it really is a physical and a mental challenge. When it rains, you have to take your gloves off because they don't do you any favors. But you're not used to catching with your bare hands all year, so it really is it's really a bang adjustment where you can't do anything about because you can't change the weather. So you really just got to find a way to squeeze in that ball.
They stick with 4 wide receivers this time, bunch to the left side with 1 man in motion, getting back to his original spot. Penuchev looking along that left side and into double coverage and falling incomplete. Set up a 4th down and 10.
Penuchev's pass incomplete. Brings up 4th down.
And right now, even though they are down 22-0 and nothing has been working, you have to punt this ball away. You can't keep giving St. Francis any favors.
This is the closest you've been all game. This time they'll put both wide receivers, 2 to each left and right side, as he'll boot this one downfield, rolling at around the 35 to 30 as the punt returner will sag off and the ball roll close to the 30-yard line by Canisius sidelines. With 5:56 left to go in the first quarter, St. Francis just dealing right now.
And they've done it with ease. They haven't had to grind out drives. It's been a couple plays that have already turned this into a 3-possession game. So if Canisius can find a way to just make them work, maybe they'll come up with a stop. But you talk about the turnover on offense, the long run on the first play, and then that deep corner route that was thrown to Riska that should have been, for the Canisius defense, a long gain but a stop, but that turned into a long passing touchdown as well.
Well, Colin, I'm not a meteorologist, but when it comes to the warm and cold mixing in at the same time with some rain, you can get some fog, and now we're seeing that coming in as you see a little bit from the lights here on this night game, running up the gut towards the left side and gaining about a couple of yards. And that should be interesting to see how it goes from there if that fog, how much, if that might be able to trickle onto the field a little bit.
Well, the visibility comes into play, too, especially for quarterbacks. So I think St. Francis right now, you have no need with all the momentum. You can grind this out. You can control the game and the tempo with your rushing attack. There's no need to really throw it around at all because you could risk a potential interception or a fumble from your quarterback.
Only 3 wide receivers. Back to the draw play for Ricardo Kidd, trying to move towards that right side of the low line and just inching a little bit closer to the first down marker, gaining about another couple of yards. Set up now, 3rd down.
And Steve Otremba, he might not exactly blow you away with his speed, but he does have sort of a ground game himself to rely on. He can pick up a first down with his legs. So if a play breaks down, if he calls an audible, if they want to check out of a run or no receivers are open downfield, he can take off and break one loose.
3rd down, 4 wide receivers. One of the linemen lost one of their helmets and getting close until a first down marker. That was Marcus Harrison, the number 73, lost his helmet. So it'll be interesting to see where they put the spot of the ball here. It looked like it was short for about a yard.
And I understand the safety precautions from that, but, you know, he's a tough kid, and it's hard as a player to just give up, even though you're not really thinking like that, like, oh, I got to stop because my helmet came off. Your adrenaline's going, and you keep blocking.
Legal participation, Red Raiders.
So like an eligible man downfield. Set up now, 3rd down.
So that's an unfortunate call for Marcus Harrison. I can't imagine head coach Jerry Smith is going to be too upset with his big left tackle not giving up on the play. And you saw that he was right in that scrum as they almost picked up a first down. It was close, but now they're set up right around 3rd and 15 behind the sticks. So this could be a pivotal turning point for Canisius if they can come up with a stop here.
So it looked like there was officials timeout at first, but like they just ended it right there. So now we'll bring up still a 3rd down. Looked like about 15 yards to go. What about 3 wide receiver set? Got one open guy downfield, and it will fall incomplete with the penalty marker down. The intended receiver looked like it was number 12, Christian Smith. The man there on defense for Canisius, number 14, Rico Brown, made some early contact for the ball, touched the receiver.
And that was just a miscommunication on the defensive end for the Crusaders. It didn't even look – I'm not even sure if Rico Brown was supposed to be lined up over there, over top of that receiver, but you saw him try to get out there last second. Unfortunately, he was a couple seconds behind. He wasn't able to get his head turned around. And an official, if they see that, no head turned around, making physical contact, they're going to throw that flag 10 out of 10 times.
And that's 3 big plays we've seen throughout this game. 2 that led to a touchdown. Now another one that led to a penalty that's put St. Francis out of that big penalty that they committed. Canisius commits one, and now St. Francis is getting an automatic first down.
As we do have a final from the Class B game, Iroquois is your champions. They defeated Pioneer 18-7, so congratulations to the Chiefs.
Congratulations, especially in order for the quarterback, Justice Kleitz, the freshman, leading that team to a Class B title. Crowned another champion tonight here in Western New York. So we'll have one more left in the Class AA finals, and then here right now, the Monsignor Martin Class A championship. And then tomorrow is going to be the Monsignor Martin Class B championship game. Off the draw play, trying to run it up the middle. Trying to get some extra blocking to push them at least a couple more inches, gaining about a yard or so. And it looks like we have an injured Canisius player down, so as we have an injury timeout, we'll take a timeout here in the broadcast booth. 3:57 left to go. St. Francis up 22-0. All right, welcome back, everyone, to Western New York Athletics. The injured player that was down there for Canisius was number 7. That was Dyrell Howard Dolson. He's one of their big contributors, not only on offense but defense as well. Faking to one guy, going to the other, to the running back, right at the 45-yard line, able to pick up about 5 yards.
Well, that's a huge blow for Canisius if Howard Dolson is even out for just a little bit of this game. He's their leading rusher on the year, and also he contributes in the receiving game and on defense too. One of their top guys, 7 tackles for loss and 4 sacks. They're going to be missing him big time.
So Ricardo Kidd back in at running back, setting up that 3rd down. Snap, jet sweep time to the left side. Trying to get the 1st down and more, and he does. Past the midfield marker and down at around the 43-yard line. Able to get a nice run there was number 9, Malik Williams, the senior.
St. Francis really just clicking on all cylinders so far here, as this first quarter is right at the 3-minute mark. They go with a counter on 2nd down, get it to the sweep on 3rd down that picks up the 1st, just showing a well-balanced look of a little bit of everything.
Now trying to move it over, trying to get that extra blocking, and he'll go towards the sidelines and able to walk it out of bounds is Ricardo Kidd. Able to be dominant so far, but give credit to this offensive line of what they've done against Canisius' defensive line.
We do the same thing every time. You'll learn eventually.
They'll pick up about 4 yards, set up a 2nd down and 6. This time Otremba under center. Riska motioning from left to right. Back over to Kidd. Trying to use the help from the left guard and center. And just about short of the 1st down marker, about a yard. Pick up about another 5 yards on that one.
And this is what coaches love, Jake. If you can pick up around 3 to 5 yards on every rush, you can get past the line of scrimmage, pick up a couple. That tires out the defense, that keeps your offense moving, and it really builds a well-oiled machine for the course of the game.
Once more, here's Kidd using an extra blocking, and he just got enough for the 1st down. He had some of the Canisius defenders that were coming off the edge, but Kidd using Marcus Harrison, their main offensive lineman, to try to use the left side of their O-line to pick up yardage, and they did.
And you can see he does a fantastic job of whatever his assignment is, whether it's setting the edge or just washing the defensive line. Seen a little bit of everything. For his size, to have the athletic ability he does, it's truly remarkable.
Here's a one-on-one chance, and Otremba just overthrows his intended receiver, and it falls incomplete. Number 12, Christian Smith, was the intended receiver.
What a break for the defense, because if they give up another touchdown there, they're really in for a long ride over the course of the night. But we've seen the secondary for the Crusaders. They've really had a hard time trying to stop the receiving core of St. Francis, who has ran great routes, and then you mix in Otremba being on fire. It really is a nightmare for a defense.
Going with the 3 wide receiver set. Here's the snap and the option play, and they run it up the gut. And there he goes, Ricardo Kidd. Another touchdown for him, and another touchdown for St. Francis.
That's another rushing play, Jake. The Ricardo Kidd goes untouched. This one not quite as long, but you see his offensive linemen, how they initially make contact, and then they work to the 2nd level to seal off those linebackers, and then that widens a hole as big as the Red Sea. Ricardo Kidd does the rest.
Excuse me, it was actually Terrence Pendergrass that picked up the touchdown on that one. And the point after try by Camillo is good. With 96 seconds left to go in the first quarter, St. Francis up on Canisius 29-0. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. This is Western New York Athletics. All right, welcome back, everyone, to Western New York Athletics. Pendergrass rushing touchdown, his first one of the game. Each of the top running backs for St. Francis each have a rushing touchdown, as the squib kick will go out of bounds to set up a penalty to put Canisius at what has been most likely one of their best field positions of the night.
And sometimes that squib kick, it works out in your favor as a kickoff unit. You get it to stay in bounce, and then the returner's got to field it in between the numbers and the sideline. Really have no room to go. That time it went out of bounds, and Canisius got a big break there with probably the best field position they've had to start this game so far.
They go about 4 wide receivers, 2 on each side. 1 man in motion from left to right. Pass, and it is intended for Doctor, and it will fall incomplete. Pass just thrown a little bit too early, because as soon as Doctor saw that, it wasn't in its full progression to turn his head to see that ball come towards him.
Yeah, I'm not really sure if they were going for the comeback route there or sort of the back shoulder. The timing slightly off. You can see already that they have fairly good chemistry between Mike Doctor and Pennychev. But like I said, that St. Francis defense, they're really starting to play a role in Pennychev's struggles early on.
Sticking with the same formation, running it up the gut, and getting a big hole, hit hard, right around the first down marker, and looked like he just picked it up for it. Canisius already getting, I believe that's only their second first down of this game, but it was a much-needed one.
44, Logan Miska with the tackle. First down, Crusaders.
It's what I said before the broadcast, too. The last time these two teams played, Canisius really struggled to move the chains. They only had 6 first downs. And St. Francis, I'm guessing with 22 first downs, they probably scored on some big plays as well. They got to find a way to move the sticks.
1 minute left to go here in the first quarter. This time another draw play, trying to run it up the middle, and immediately stuffed. May have lost the yardage there as well.
No gain on the play. Second and 10.
And for Canisius, it's really been a lopsided year. They started out 3-1. They're coming into this game 5-5. They had some quality wins on the year. They lost to Lancaster, lost to Washington from Ohio, and the St. Joe's game, that was their first win since October 15th.
Trying to roll out to the right side, and this will fall incomplete. As Zimmerman, who's now in at quarterback, had the roll out, face pressured right away. And that will bring up now 3rd and 10.
But you look at the scheduling of both of these teams. You know, they both played Cathedral, Prep, McDowell. I mean, just really powerhouses, not even on a local scale, but almost on a national scale. Some of the talent you see come out of these schools year in and year out, it's incredible.
4 wide receivers going to go for the draw play. Running it up the middle and going exactly to the midfield marker. With about 10 seconds left to go, it seems like they'll run this off. Picking up about 4 yards on the play, and that will signal the end of a very, very long first quarter. It has been nothing but St. Francis. 29 points in the first quarter by the Red Raiders. As they'll continue to try to push this along, we'll take a break, and we'll have the start of the second quarter coming up. Welcome back, everyone, to Western New York Athletics. And right now, we're going to have a quick timeout called here by St. Francis. They're up 29-0 on Canisius for the Monsignor Martin Class A championship game. My name is Jacob Fyak. Alongside me is Colin Wood, live here at St. Francis High School on our beautiful St. Francis turf. As you can see on our cameras, the fog rolling in on that far side of the field, covering a good amount of it on that far side of the field.
Well, now, Jake, it's 4th and manageable at least, and you're down 29-0. It's going to be rare. This is one of the few times they've actually had the ball. They're not even in plus territory, but they're at midfield, so they've picked up 1 first down so far. They got to find a way to keep this drive alive, get the ball in the end zone, and really figure things out on defense from there on.
Looks like that's number 7, Howard Dolson. Howard Dolson is in at running back. And just like that, false start on Canisius, moving them back 5 yards. And nothing could have been any more disappointing. If your head coach Craig Krasansky is to see. You had a chance there, about 4th and 6, maybe 4th and 5, and you got pushed back 5 yards because of a penalty.
That's a penalty that's going to drive a coach crazy. You're right there at the line of scrimmage. You know the snap count. You just got to watch the ball.
4 wide receivers set. 1 man going from left to right. Zimmerman trying to go downfield, and that falls incomplete. Hard time there seeing who could have been the intended receiver. Looked like it might be Mike Doctor that was. But nonetheless, the turnover on downs, and St. Francis takes over at the Canisius 45.
Well, Mr. Meteorologist, you mentioned that fog a little bit earlier on, and I think that fog did play a little bit of a role there on that pass. Looked like Penychev didn't really have a good line of sight to get that throw off, sort of a lollipop over the middle. And right now, St. Francis looking flawless in that first quarter. They got that engine churning, and I have seen no signs of that slowing down so far.
As they go 3 wide receivers, Malik Williams, Dylan Walker as receivers on the left side. Otremba, play action pass, deep shot downfield, well over the intended receiver's head, falling incomplete. Jeremiah Neely was the intended target.
I don't know if you saw on that play, but the protection that Otremba had, there was no resistance at all from the defensive line. The 5 guys up front for the Red Raiders, all they had to do was stand up, get in their stance, and really just put their arms out. There was there's no sort of physicality right now on the defensive line for Canisius.
The snap, trying to find a hole to get through, and he's stuffed, going nowhere. Met up there by a couple of Crusader defenders. So it'll be about 3rd down, still about 10 yards to go to pick up the first.
3rd and 11.
It's time to go 4 wide receivers. Otremba going to roll out to the left side. Now he's going to go ahead and scramble. Try to pick up the first down and more, and he's tripped up and tackled down. A big tackle there by the Canisius defense as he's just about short of the first down marker.
Well, that time we saw a little bit of pressure from Canisius. They forced Otremba out of the pocket for once where he's looked so comfortable. But now it looks like they're going for it.
When I expected otherwise, they only need 3 yards to pick up the first. His offense has been dominant so far. Otremba under center. Looks like Pendergrass is in the backfield. 1 wide receiver to the right. And officials timeout. And it's actually going to be a timeout on Canisius. They just got it off in time with 10:31 remaining in the second quarter. 29-0 still on our score here in favor of St. Francis. So it looked like that was going to be a situation where they might just gave it to Pendergrass and just let him just take it from there. We've seen how strong the O-line's been so far, Colin, for St. Francis, especially on that left side.
Well, and right now there's been a little bit of pressure so far on this drive. It's nice to see for Canisius, and the last throw they attempted, you can just see the rain really got to Otremba trying to throw that one deep over the middle. Wasn't really on target towards his receiver down the field, so I would do what they did a couple times when they had 3rd and short on previous drives where they just ran those sweeps to the outside. There was no one there to set the edge for Canisius. They've had success running that so far.
So only about 2 yards to pick up the first. They put one lone wide receiver towards the left side. Pendergrass, Kidd in the backfield. Here's the snap. Throwing down immediately. Close to the first down marker. It looked like he just got enough. And it looked like that was Pendergrass that they gave it to on the much needed type of goal line type situation, and they got it.
Every play! When will you learn?
Well, and that's what Pendergrass really is for them. He's sort of their power back. He doesn't have as many yards as Kidd. Kidd is their speed guy, but Pendergrass is their go-to guy. When they need a couple yards on 4th down, he'll get it done.
There he goes again, staying up on his feet, picking up a couple extra yards after first contact. Talked about earlier in this game how Ricardo Kidd was that type of guy where he doesn't like to go down easy as all, but Pendergrass showing the same effort as well.
Gain of 6, 2nd and 4.
There's a snap. Once more, they give it to him. He's met up immediately by not 1, not 2, but 3 Canisius defenders. And he was the ball carrier as well. He even threw down one of the Canisius defenders.
It's great play calling from St. Francis. You know, even if, say this game was a little bit closer, they're doing what's working and they're tiring out the defense to prevent any type of comeback. Really suck the life force out of Canisius with these quick hitters, those 3 to 5 yard gains. You know, they go from 1st and 10, 2nd and 5, 3rd and 2. You do that 5 or 6 times a drive, the defense is gassed.
So now Ricardo Kidd into the backfield. Riska motioning from right to left. Trying to shake off a couple of defenders. He does. Penalty marker down. St. Francis did get the first down, but there's a good chance this will be coming back. So we'll see what happens if what the head official is going to say for St. Francis. And it looks like they will push the offense back, a holding penalty on the offense.
Anything! I thought not.
After the penalty, it's 3rd and 10.
So I pushed him back about 10 yards. 3rd down and 10 to go for the original spot of the foul. Otremba, deep pass, well over Neely and the defender's head, incomplete. 4th down coming up.
Brings up 4th down and 10.
I'm not really sure I agree with that play call on 3rd and 10. They've had success running the ball, maybe set up a more manageable 4th down. Obviously, they're going to go for it if they can pick up 5 there. Now they set themselves up in an obvious passing situation, which so far in this drive they have been stalled due to the weather and also just some bad communication between quarterback and receivers.
Otremba looking downfield, and this is caught, bobbled at first, but going out of bounds, and he picked up just enough. A first down and a couple of yards more. As you hear the cowbells ringing, St. Francis moves the chains.
First down, Red Raiders.
That's a tremendous play there by Riska, just running to the sticks, stopping on a dime. The ball is out as it's thrown. He makes a tough hand catch, squeezes it in, picks up the first down.
Pendergrass moving towards that left part of the offensive line. He's met up immediately.
Pendergrass with the carry.
Tough to see if he got about some positive yardage. He may have just got back to the line of scrimmage. Looks like they will actually credit him a yard. He'll be 2nd down and about 9.
Gain of 1.
And you can see that all the guys for the Canisius, those 11 guys on defense, they got all I see is hands on hips right now. I see breaths coming out too. I can't tell if that's breath or fog there, but you can see it's really starting to pay off for the St. Francis offense. They're methodical. They're grinding out this drive, and they come up with a touchdown. This one could be in the books early on.
Well, Tremba looking. Deep shot downfield. Double covered. And it falls incomplete. The two Canisius defenders there looked like that was Damone Allen, the sophomore, as the intended receiver. So they try to go towards the far corner of the end zone to make this lead extend by more than 30.
Well, that was great coverage by Rico Brown there. He had his hand in the back pocket of the receiver the whole time, didn't get too handsy, got his head around. And when you do that as a defensive back, corner or safety, doesn't matter what it is, as long as you follow those procedures, you not only give yourself a chance to come up with a pass breakup, an interception, but you're never going to get a flag thrown on you.
Now they go 4 wide. Riska all by himself. Trip bunch to the left. They fake it to Riska. They're going to go ahead and scramble it to the left side. Picking up the first down and more. Trying to shimmy his way closer towards the end zone. But he's inside the 10 for a first and goal opportunity for St. Francis.
First down, Red Raiders.
And, you know, it's crazy how the game of football has changed, too. You never had to worry about that 40 years ago. If there were no receivers open on 3rd and 10, the defense got to stop. Now, with mobile quarterbacks, those receivers get down the field, and that real estate is wide open for the quarterback to take off. And Otrema did a great job there.
Trying to run it up the middle. Trying to look at an official word. No sign yet of a touchdown. It looks like he's about short. Now going to try and quickly go no huddle. Setting up. Court QB sneak. And there it is for the touchdown. St. Francis puts another score on the board. They put up now 35-0 with 6:18 left to go here in the first half.
Well, it wasn't done in the fashion of how they scored early in the first and also the one early in the second, too. It was quick plays. It was bang, bang, lightning fast. That time, they worked at it real hard, a little bit, a mix of everything. They did a great job with the run, though. Those quick hitters really started to wear down the Canisius defense. And
now Camillo, excuse me, Colin, looked like had a possible chance for a kick being blocked, but looked like a man on Canisius jumped off sides. Go ahead, what you were saying?
I was just saying that all those short runs, even though they didn't break one loose, and you know you want to see those flashy plays all the time, but that's the strategical part of being an offensive coordinator as a head coach is how can you pick up enough yardage, but also, you know, if one doesn't break, you keep the drive alive and you can keep running more plays. That was probably a solid, 15 or 16-yard plays. Those are the ones that win the game, not the 1 or 2 play 80-yard touchdown drives.
So an encroachment on Canisius' defense, so they'll retry the point after. Here's the snaps down, the kick's on the way, and it is no good. But nonetheless, St. Francis extends their lead to 35. 6:18 left to go in the second quarter. We'll take a break. This is Western New York Athletics. Welcome back, everyone, to Western New York Athletics. We're just about to get set off for another kickoff in what's been a dominant effort so far by the St. Francis Red Raiders at the boots to the ball, sending this one high at around the 10-yard line on the far side of the field. Now trying to run it up the middle. Another penalty marker down, getting tackled right at around the 26-yard line.
Seems like anytime something good is about to happen for Canisius, either a flag happens or they're just one tackle away from breaking a kick return loose for a touchdown.
And it was only at the 22-yard line. Seems like a big penalty to put him at. And it looks like they have him right at around the 10.
After the penalty, first and 10, Crusaders at the 10.
Professionals don't bring up tuition price, okay? Going off the 4 wide receiver set. Immediately tackled right away. And losing about a couple of yards so. It's Canisius just, one of their biggest things is the run game. That's been one of their more dominant efforts they've had, especially towards the start of the season. So far, this interior line of St. Francis has just been able to stop them no matter what they try to pull at them.
And the scary thing is, Jake, is that their big three on offense are seniors Steve Otremba, Ricardo Kidd, and also Logan Rieska. But I'm looking at this roster here, and I see a lot of sophomores and juniors. So this team is going to be a powerhouse in Monsignor Martin for a couple years to come as well.
Looks like that might have been Nizell Lash, the ball carrier for Canisius, towards that right side, getting him close to the first down marker, about maybe 3 or 4 yards shy of the first.
But hats off to the offensive line right now. We got a good shot of them sitting on the bench right now. You can see Marcus Harrison, Matthew Stahler, Ethan Farley, and Aiden Dubeck for the guys. And also it looks like that is number 76, but we don't have a name for 76. But you got to give credit to those guys for not only protecting Otremba, but setting up Ricardo Kidd and Terrence Pendergrass to be the successful running backs they are.
Somebody's already playing We Are the Champions in the stands.
Canisius is able to pick up the first down. They go 4 wide with 3 to the right, 1 to the left. One man in motion, going back to his original spot. Pass, short one, caught though, right at around the 30-yard line. They able to pick up about 4, maybe 5 yards. Now a penalty marker down.
Flag on the play.
See what the call is. It's going to be a personal foul. It's going to be a face mask on St. Francis. So give Canisius the automatic first down.
Canisius will take any sort of yardage they can get right now, whether it comes from their offense naturally or through penalties. They need something. If they can just go into halftime, getting some points on the board, they'll feel better about making this game a little more comfortable in the second half.
Sticking with the same formation on the last play. Zimmerman, pass, incomplete. Looked like that might have been Doctor there on the far side of the field as the intended target. Be second down.
Doctor's been the guy they've been trying to throw to all night, but they do have, 3 guys that really can catch the ball. Jaden Clark is actually their leading receiver with over 800 yards and 8 touchdowns. Evan Dean's right up there, too. He's their number 3 guy. We haven't really seen either of them been a target all night. It's been all Doctor.
And as right as you mentioned there, that looked like that was Clark, the intended receiver, and it was the sophomore, but it looked like I went through his hands for an incomplete pass for a 3rd down and 10.
You know, Clark's his opportunities have been limited. You know, last week he was their whole offense almost. He had 8 catches, 140 yards, and 2 scores. Those were the 2 touchdowns they had all game, and a barn burner that came with some safeties as well from the defense. You know, he's one of their guys that they need to find a way to utilize him out in space to get something going.
1 man in motion. Zimmerman pass is incomplete. Once again, looked like that might have been Doctor there on the towards the Canisius sidelines, right towards close to the 1st down marker, but it's 4th down.
Fourth down and 10.
Fourth and long.
Let's get line up. Now they'll boot this ball. Nice high arcing kick at around the 25. And a fumble on the play. The ball is all over the turf. And who was able to recover it? And it looked like it may have been Canisius, and it is. A big break for the Crusaders, trying to take advantage of something they haven't been able to do yet so far with this great of a field position, the best one they've had so far. And now they have a chance in the red zone to take the goose egg off the board.
And that's a 50-50 play there as a punt returner. You know, you want to field it so it doesn't get downed inside the 10 or the 5, but you also risk the fumble right there. And your offense, even if they got pinned deep, they'd probably find a way to get out of that. Not only give themselves some breathing room, but possibly even go down and score. But now Canisius gifted some life here. Let's see what they can do with it.
They have 3:08 to go here in the 2nd quarter. They go 4 wide receiver set with the snap, pass. It is caught on the slant route, and the ball's on the ground. And it is picked up by St. Francis. So in one play, Canisius coughs up the ball, and St. Francis will take over deep in their own territory.
Well, who knows? Maybe St. Francis did that on purpose, you know, predator and prey style, just kind of dangle a little bit of life in front of them before they rip it away. In one play just like that.
Even time and scores. Time it to get in the end zone. That's low. Go to the B-League.
First and 10 at the 3.
So they put it at the 3-yard line. The snap, running it up the middle, finding a hole to get through, picking up the 1st down and more. It's like you mentioned, Colin, you know, with that punt opportunity, might have just been smart to just have a fair catch and just let your offense take over deep in their own territory. They do that off the fumble, and in one play, they get the 1st down. Now they try to go quickly in a no huddle.
Well, you know, it's like that one offensive play didn't even happen for Canisius.
Try moving towards that left side.
Kid with the carry.
Looks like it's passed around the 20-yard line. Actually spotted him at the 20-yard line. So we have a score update in the Class AA title game. 7-0 Lancaster. Micah Harry, kickoff return for a touchdown to start off that game. Now at the pass, it's caught right at the 30-yard line. Logan Reescott at the 30, just enough for a Red Raider 1st down. Reescott, originally a wide receiver, moved over to tight end due to his size as he started growing towards his sophomore, junior, and senior year. And how about an interception here by Canisius, trying to get into the end zone, but Otremba, St. Francis quarterback, gets a couple of yards shy for the touchdown. But nonetheless, Canisius now for the 2nd time in the ensuing drive their offense will have great field position.
And that interception gives, now it's back and forth. Canisius even closer this time, ball on the 2. I wouldn't even risk a pass. I'm trying to run this one in, get a touchdown, get points on the board, just go into halftime feeling good about something after it's been a struggle all game long to get yards to stop St. Francis on defense. They can get a touchdown on the board, prevent the Red Raiders from scoring again before halftime. At least we got some kind of a game in the second half.
Now they're trying to go for the Wildcat, pushing forward. And Canisius able to take the goose egg off the board with 96 seconds remaining in the first half.
Well, and that was an uncharacteristic throw by Otremba, too. We don't see him make that very often. Again, I'd sort of question the play calling. You're up 35-0. I'd be comfortable to just get this game over as quickly as possible. Run out the first half clock. You could probably even break a long run, and then really just put this game on ice. Now,
looks like now going to try to go for a 2-point conversion. Didn't look like that was a fake there. It looked like just the pass was, or the hike was too high. So point after try is no good. 35-6 is our score in favor of St. Francis.
Well, that's something you got to have ready, too, on those special teams plays. We like to call it the fire play, where if the snap is low or it's mishandled by the holder, you have some guys who are going to flush out on one side or the other, where you can at least give yourself a fighting chance to convert the 2 if you're not going to be able to kick it through the uprights.
JBD6376, license plate JBD 6376. A silver Focus. Please move it immediately or will be towed. Wait, there's one more. A green Jeep. KEA 6695. You are also blocking the lanes out in the parking lot. Buses cannot get around the parking lot when you are parked illegally. People, please move your vehicles immediately. A green Jeep. KEA 6695. Thank you.
Let's go 2-5!
So off the squib kick to the 35-yard line. And it looked like the ball was out. Canisius saying that they have it. And they do. Off the squib kick with 90 seconds to go. And in the second quarter, Canisius could do a little bit of something here to try to get maybe another touchdown for the end of the half.
Well, they're showing a little bit of life here. It has been some miscues from St. Francis too. But Jake, imagine if they're able to do something with that botched punt return. Say they go down and score there, they could potentially make it a 2-score game here. But even if they can get a touchdown out of this, 35-14 or 35-12 is way better, and you give yourself some kind of chance as opposed to 35-zip.
We'll go 4 wide receiver set. Here's the snap. Zimmerman looking. That pass sails well over his intended receiver. Incomplete. And the penalty marker down. And it's going to be a roughing the passer call against St. Francis.
Pass is incomplete. There is a flag down for roughing the passer.
And I won't get too technical, nor do I want to directly, target the official for that. But it's one of those rules where it's such a gray area. And, we live in a world where we're asking questions like, what is a catch? What is roughing the passer? And when we don't have a definite and clear answer to this, stuff like this gets brought up in games, and it really changes the momentum. And it's one of those things where it can't really be a judgment call. That either is or is not roughing the passer. That time, to me personally, that was a bang-bang play. That ball just came out. He got hit. I'm not too sure about that, but I'm not wearing the black and white stripes, so I don't have any say.
So let's set up a 1st down and 10. It's like right exactly at the 20-yard line. They go 4 wide, bunch to the right side. Now they run up the gut. And Canisius gaining some momentum offensively in one play. Sets them up in a 1st and goal.
Well, now for Canisius, you got to be careful, too, because you want to score, but you want to work this clock, too. You don't want to give St. Francis any time to come up with another response of their own. You want to go into this game, or go into the second half, by getting another touchdown here and just leave it at that. Let this clock run. You still have timeouts if you need them, and you can continue to run as well. You have 4 attempts to get, looks like, about 6 or 7 yards.
Well, less than 1 minute to go in the 1st half, and Canisius has called a timeout. 55 seconds left to go here in the 2nd quarter. St. Francis up 35-6. But Canisius is knocking on the door. We'll take a break, and we'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone, to Western New York Athletics. 1st and goal situation up here for Canisius with a chance to try to cut into this lead a little bit before the end of the half. Zimmerman's short pass. It's tough to see what happened over on the side. I believe it fell incomplete, and it did. So we'll bring up 2nd down.
Pass is incomplete, 2nd and goal.
Besides that one long pass play we saw in the 1st quarter to Michael Doctor, the air raid really hasn't been successful for them, but they've done a good job with the ground game.
Trying with the pass to the left side. Once again, another incomplete pass, setting up 3rd down. Clock stops at 46 seconds.
And that one was nearly hauled in for an interception by the defensive lineman.
I can see this fog coming in, thickening up a little bit, especially towards right where Canisius is, St. Francis on that side of the field. 3rd and goal coming up with 1 man in motion. Zimmerman's pass. It's caught for Crusader touchdown.
Touchdown, Crusaders.
And just like that, they cut in this lead. St. Francis now down by 23 with 41 left to go in the 1st half.
That's backyard football right there, you know, goal-to-go situation. Whose guy can beat the opponent's defensive back off the line just like that? He's either going inside or outside. You don't know which. And that time, throw is on time right there, perfect. And now, Canisius, they can make this a 35-14 game.
Now going to get set up going for 2. If they get this, they'll just cut it to a 3-score lead. Rolling out to the right. Penalty marker down. Now 2 penalty markers down.
Pass is incomplete. There is a flag.
So the pass was incomplete. So as of right now, the 2-point conversion is not good. But we'll see where these penalties are coming from. So we got a defensive holding penalty against St. Francis, so they'll redo the 2-point conversion.
Ball will get advanced about another 1.5 yards, so that gives you the option to be able to run or pass. When it's 3 yards out, typically you're kind of stuck to throwing it, but now tight formation.
Now we're getting a timeout called here by Canisius. I believe that is their last timeout of the first half. Looks like they want to try to get a second opinion what play they want to run. St. Francis had a couple of substitutions that were going to go out there, but then they went back towards the sidelines. You had number 8, that was Robert Kendall Jr., that ran right back, just got back onside, and then before you know it, Canisius called timeout. So that could have been something where, yeah, if you don't even get the 2-point conversion, you could try and get them jump offside, and you just got to redo it again.
Red Raiders outgaining the Crusaders 203 to 94 right now. 176 of those 203 on the ground, like we said earlier in the broadcast, though. That is their staple and their identity, is the ground and pound action with their big, talented, strong offensive linemen up front, their fast and physical running backs, and even a quarterback every now and then who will mix a little bit in there with his legs.
So try to get us set up for a wildcat formation. And we got another penalty on the play. And it's going to be a false start against Canisius, so move them back about 5 yards.
Well, this is where we could seen so many teams run it at the professional level and collegiate level and even high school, where you're kind of at like the 3-yard line to 7-yard line range. A lot of teams will run that shovel pass where they'll get the whole team flowing one way, and then that running back sneaks under, and there's a gap created by the offensive lineman where it's wide open, and it seems to work every time. Defenses have a hard time stopping it. Right now, they're spread out though, looking like they're going to run some kind of crossing patterns, quick slants, arrows.
That's what they tried to do, but a fall is incomplete.
And the conversion is no good.
Looked like that was Logan Rieska there that was able to deflect the pass. So the 2-point conversion is no good. 4-score lead still for St. Francis. 41 left to go here in the first half. We'll take another break. We'll be right back here on WNYF.
Bennett scores 7-6 Lancaster. They failed the 2-point.
So we just heard a score update about Bennett. They're able to score, but they couldn't get the 2-point conversion. So Lancaster still up by 1 there in the Class AA championship game. Right now here in the Monsignor Class A title game, it's been a dominant effort. We've had some recent success from Canisius. They've gained a little bit of momentum, but St. Francis still on a big 4-score lead, up by 23 as they get the ball with 40 seconds left. Nice big hole and a big tackle as well, throwing him down hard at around the 35-yard line.
That was number 50, Mason Allnut, with a great special teams play. He's lucky he got away with. Didn't really look like a face mask. It was just really a high tackle, a dangerous one, but he stopped a big return. And now they just got to get into halftime without giving up any more points. I'm sure St. Francis not going to kneel this out. They're going to try to get a few first downs, see if they can strike back.
Here's the snap. Looking, going to go with the screen pass. Nice way to disguise it as they get towards the 45 and able to pick up close to about 9 yards, and then a quick timeout called by the Red Raiders with 26 seconds left. You're right, Colin. You see it so far. They had some nice yardage there on that first play of this drive, and they're trying to get some points here.
realistically, 26 seconds, one timeout left. So with that one timeout left, you can still work the middle of the field. You'd like to get a first down, too, because that momentarily stops the clock. But you have to work the sidelines. So I'm thinking somewhere around 3, maybe 4 plays if they're very lucky. But, you know, doesn't have to be. They can get a couple first downs. It's not even a Hail Mary situation where if they get it close enough, you know, maybe at the 35 or the 30-yard line, then you can actually run some kind of concept with your wide receivers, and it's not just go down the field, get to the end zone, and play a game of jackpot.
He's looking happy.
So as Canisius is able to get their defense on the field, now St. Francis breaks out of their huddle.
459-355.
Going about 4 wide. Now for the scramble opportunity for Otremba as he gets past the midfield marker down at around the 49-yard line, getting him the first down. Clock temporarily stopping at 20, but trying to get set and ready for the no huddle. They go 5 wide, trips to the right side, 2 to the left. 13 seconds left. Otremba looking there, trying to go deep downfield, and it is caught down the sidelines. Down at the 15, right around the 14-yard line with 5 seconds left. And I think St. Francis just called a timeout. What a beautiful play to Logan Rieska. Just give it up to the big man, and that's what Otremba did.
Yeah, it seems like Coach Jerry Smith knows what he's doing. I was kind of questioning not using that timeout, but now that he saved it, got tackled and bounced, they do have one more play. They can run left, and now it's sort of just your goal-to-go situation again. What kind of backyard football play do you have? Run some kind of crossing concept. We'll have to see whether Canisius decides to play this man or zone, if they just pass off their receivers, or if they're feeling like they have the guts to be able to stick with the receivers, man on man.
Tough to see where they spot that ball. I think they have it around the 12. It could possibly be the 13-yard line. So they're in the red zone. They only got 5 seconds left. What the aggressive point from Canisius. You have 40 seconds. And head coach Jerry Smith saying, no, we're going to get more points on the board. We lost that momentum when Canisius scored with about 40 seconds left in the second quarter. Now St. Francis trying to return the favor. Here's the pass. At least trying to find one. One open man. And it falls incomplete as the clock strikes 0. As the Monsignor Class A championship game, St. Francis up on Canisius 35-12. And as we'll take a break, we'll be back for the start of the second half, live here on Western New York Athletics. And welcome back, everyone, to Western New York Athletics. My name is Jacob Flack. Alongside me is Colin Wood. We're live here at St. Francis High School for the Monsignor Martin Class A title game between the Red Raiders and the Crusaders. So far, St. Francis on their home turf have been dominant so far. They're up 35-12, and what we thought was the start of the game where St. Francis has had the dominant run game and Canisius has been more all around. It seems like it's been the exact opposite. We've seen some good passing and good rushing attacks for St. Francis, whereas for Canisius, they've just as of late, towards the end of the first quarter, were getting some momentum due to off some turnovers. But other than that, St. Francis have been very good all around.
Well, and we saw the well-balanced offense from St. Francis. We kind of knew that coming in, where the steady rushing attack, 182 yards in the first half. Really, their only room for improvement that I can think of is special teams, some of the miscues, and that's the reason why Canisius has points on the board in the first place, is they were kind of spoon-fed those points from a couple there was an interception and then a couple muffed kicks. It got them kind of back in this game, more or less.
And off the squib kick to start off the second half at around the 20-yard line, and then met up immediately at the 27-yard line, where Canisius will start off their first possession of the second half.
But each time Canisius scored, they had a very short field. It was less than 40 yards to work with. They haven't really been able to go the length of the field so far. If they got a couple first downs, either penalties brought them back, or it was just trying to run at the interior of the St. Francis defensive line, which has been stout for one half, and I'm sure they're going to continue that.
I got two wide receivers motioning from left to right with one tailback. The snap, the pass, and it falls incomplete. Some contact there, nothing called at all. Intended receiver was to Jaden Clark. And it looked like on defense there it was number 6, Keon Yolanga. It looks like our head official may just give a sideline warning.
And that was number 50, Balam Miller, one of the leaders on defense for St. Francis, who came up the middle untouched, just provided such a rush and a burst of energy off that defensive line that immediately got into the backfield.
So go 4 wide. The snap and the draw play. Running it up the gut, gaining the yardage at around the 35-yard line. Putting about a couple yards short of the first down. That was number 7. That was Dyrell Howard-Dolson, the junior, that helped to get the big run up the middle.
This is what they didn't have in the first half. They didn't have these third and shorts where they could utilize the run or the pass. They were stuck in third and long in the water where obvious passing down, and St. Francis brought all the pressure you could imagine.
So it'll go about 4 wide. Howard-Dolson in the backfield. 2 wide receivers to the left and right of each side. Looks like Evan Dean in motion from left to right. And this falls incomplete. Miscommunication between Zimmerman and the intended receiver, Jaden Clark, on the coverage, just on the first play as well. That was Keon Yolanga as well. Set up a 4th down and about 2 yards to go.
That's a backbreaker for Canisius. If I'm not sure what the call there was. If Jaden Clark maybe he was taking his defender up the field. If he plants his foot, breaks back, it looked like that's where the play was supposed to go. He kept running up the field, but now they leave themselves no choice but to go for it on 4th and short.
Back to a 4 wide receiver set. Trips to the left, 1 to the right. The snap, trying to look downfield. It's caught by Jaden Clark. Able to get a burst of speed. Trying to shake off one defender, but nice wrapped up tackle around the feet into St. Francis territory. And a big 3rd down conversion there. And able to bring up the tackle was number 7, Keon Yolanga.
Well, they finally get their go-to receiver involved. Something they didn't do in the first half was get Jaden Clark, their top receiver. They didn't get him really any action. You know, he was well covered, not to mention, but that time he was wide open. Not anyone within 5 yards, and you see why he's so dangerous.
Howard Dolson with the ball carrier. As he's tackled at the 35, a pickup of about 4 yards.
And I don't know what Coach Krasinski said to his team at halftime, but Canisius looks like a completely different team coming out of the gate here. They're getting a push from their guys up front. You know, quarterback and receivers on the same page. If we would have seen this Canisius team in the first half, this would not be a 35-12 game.
One man in motion, putting 3 wide receivers to the right side. As pass incomplete. As Yolanga there on the defense, able to break up the pass. Clark, the intended receiver, once more. And as you can see, Jaden Clark's getting targeted a lot more at the start of this drive. And like you mentioned, that's what they're trying to go. They're trying to give to him. They tried to go to Doctor a lot. Wasn't seeing much success there in the first half, and they wanted to try to get Clark involved.
Well, it was Keon Ulanga who just got beat on that previous play. He makes up for it that time right in the back pocket of Clark, and he made a bang-bang pass break up there. Not too early, not too late.
Yeah, he was down on the ground. He can't lay on the ground and hand the ball off.
So Zimmerman is hurt on the field. Now, the reason why the play was stopped is because the ball was on the ground, and he technically had a knee down, which signals that the play is dead. But it looked like Zimmerman, I think he might have had a cleat possibly stepped on his hand when he was trying to send the ball off to his teammate. He looked like he was grabbing that right hand like he was in a lot of pain.
Yeah, we hope Zimmerman's okay, but that play, that low snap, that's going to kill their drive because in high school, you know, it's not down by contact. It's down by any touching of the ground, whether that's your knee, your elbows, your wrist, any part of your back, legs, your hamstring, your cheeks, for lack of a better word. That's down, you're down. So that time, they'll be right back to 4th and 10.
So we technically do have an injury timeout as both teams are in the huddle trying to discuss what plays they got to go next. I mean, in this situation, you're at the 39-yard line. You got to, obviously go for it here. You got to keep this going because you don't want to give not only St. Francis the ball back right away with 9:42 remaining in the third. You just want to make sure that you get down the field and score. So they'll go 4 wide receivers, 3 to the right, 1 to the left. Here's the snap. Penyuchev in at quarterback. His pass is incomplete as he's hit as he's thrown. That'll set up a turnover on downs. And St. Francis will get their first drive going here in the second half.
They've done a great job of mixing up the looks where the pressure's coming from, too. It's been coming up the middle for the most part of this game. That time it came from the defensive end spot on the far side there, and Penyuchev just wasn't really ready for it. Had to get rid of that one as soon as he got the snap. And even though St. Francis, they showed a little bit of bending on that drive, they did a good job not breaking, giving the ball back to their high-powered offense.
Looks like they got 1 wide receiver to the right side. Running it now. Trying to get some extra blocking. And tackled past the 40. Officially spotting him at the 41-yard line. Picking up about 2 yards to set up a second down.
Gain of 2, 2nd and 8.
One man now in motion. Riska, as the extra blocker on the right side of this O-line. There's the handoff. Run up the middle. Still staying on his feet. And he picked just about enough for the first down. Tackled at the midfield marker. A pickup of 9.
That's been one of their best plays so far. Is they bring that guy in motion, but they always run away from it because they trust that they don't need extra guys there to block. They trust that they're whoever's on what side, that they're going to be able to, take their man head on and give the running back some space.
Risco once more moving towards the right side of that O-line. The snap and the give. And this time they use Risco as that extra blocker. Still staying on his feet. Ricardo Kidd trucking a defender. Picking up the first down and more. And in 2 straight plays, St. Francis picks up a first down.
We've seen Ricardo Kidd's speed, but on that play you saw the physicality, which makes him a all-around tremendous running back. Really lowering the shoulder, providing that hit stick. The defense is going to remember that.
And the Pendergrass, who's now in at running back, using that blocking to pick up some yardage close to the 20. They officially spot him at around the 22-yard line.
Gain of 8. 2nd and 2.
You see them going tempo, really trying to get the defense on their heels.
Once again, the Pendergrass. It's on that left side. Still short of the first down marker, picking up about a yard.
That's another reason why that first down play is so critical. We see teams in college like Tennessee do that, a team that runs about 3 plays a minute. If you pick up a good gain on first down, you always go tempo on 2nd and 3rd, but if you get stopped, you normally sit back.
Oh, Tremba going to be the ball carrier, trying to dive forward for the first down marker. Line judge on the far side of the field by that first down marker is right on it. Right now they do have it down as 4th down, and it's less than a yard, 4th and inches. So right now they got Otremba with Kidd and Pendergrass right behind their quarterback, and they give it over. Looks like it was Kidd, who technically came in as the fullback, picking up the first down and a couple yards more to move the chains.
Well, I know Tom Prince is going to love me for this one, but that's just classic in the trench football. That's saying my guys are better than yours. We're going to push you around. We're going to be able to pick up that first down. We're not afraid. Keep this drive alive.
And then once more, they give it. Looks like it was Kidd. Tackled at the 5-yard line. Set up a 1st and goal.
1st and goal, Red Raiders.
Kidd trying to stay up on his feet, and he able to extend the lead back up to 4 scores. With now a multi-rushing touchdown performance on the home turf. 41-12 is our score with 5:51 to go in the 3rd.
That's actually the hat trick for Ricardo Kidd, so congratulations to him for putting up some big numbers. He's been a big chunk of those, 238 rushing yards. And you saw that 3 consecutive plays of fullback dives. When the running back gets in there 4 or 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage, the defense has some time to get ready, but the fullback gets it. It's boom, right through, already the 2nd level. Defense just not ready for it from Canisius.
Here's for the option play. Otremba staying up on his feet, and he gets in the end zone for the 2-point conversion. 43-12, 5:51 remaining in the 3rd. We'll take a break in the action. You're watching Western New York Athletics. Welcome back, everyone, to Western New York Athletics. As we have this game going on, we also have AA action, championship football happening between Bennett and Lancaster. That's over at Highmark Stadium. Squib kick on the way. Canisius grabbing it at the 26-yard line, and his knee was down on the play. So no chance for a return, and that is where Canisius will start off.
And the Red Raider kickoff is down at about the
Well, and I think
27, where it's
we
first
kind of
and
knew at
10.
halftime that Canisius really had to play a flawless second half to give themselves a chance to claw back in this. They get a couple first downs on their opening drive, but it gets halted with an injury to their quarterback and a penalty. Now they go and give up a touchdown. Things are really looking out of reach, but we've seen crazier things. We saw a 35-0 game in which we weren't sure if Canisius was going to put up points, and then they were able to score twice really quick. So we'll see what type of response we get from which Canisius team, too.
It looks like that's Howard Dolson there as the ball carrier. Tackled right around the 48, maybe 49-yard line. And that's been the one thing that's helped Canisius be so successful is that running attack from time to time with Howard Dolson. And we've seen that throughout the season where in one play he gets a big chunky yardage. And it happens there with some nice blocking by the O-line.
And they really needed more of those chunk plays, too, where the St. Francis defense just came out and said, we are stronger and we are going to push you around. You're not going to move us around. You'll be lucky to get a 1-yard gain. Right now, Canisius having their way a little bit.
Here's the pass that's caught at around the 40-yard line and tackled right at the 37. Looks like Evan Dean there was the person for Canisius to pick up that reception. And in 2 straight plays, 2 first downs.
They'll need more help from their special teams and also their defense, too.
They go 4 wide receiver set with Dean in motion now from left to right. Draw play now. Dolson once more as the ball carrier. Going to past the 39 and down at the 36. Pick up about 3.
And even though that clock continues to wind, less than 4.5 minutes in the third quarter, your main focus right now for Coach Krasansky is just getting a touchdown on the board before the end of the third quarter and see what happens on that. Just let the game unfold. Don't get too antsy. Don't try to make hero plays. You would love them, obviously, but you can't force it all the time. Otherwise, St. Francis is going to come up with an easy turnover.
Here's the snap. Going downfield. Trying to give it to Clark. And once again, the pass is sailing over the intended receiver. As Penyuchev is back in there at quarterback. It's a good chance we might see him the rest of the way.
And the Red Raiders, they're ready for that. They're not going to give up anything deep on the back end. Obviously, they don't want to give up any yards, but they're fine with those 4 to 5 yard plays in a game where they're up 4 touchdowns in complete cruise control in the driver's seat. They'll give up those 4 or 5 yards in exchange for 30 to 35 seconds for the remainder of the game, no questions asked.
So about 3rd down, about 7 yards go to pick up the first. Go about 4 wide receivers. Dean in motion. The snap. Bobbled a bit. Penyuchev feeling the pressure. Ends up losing the ball. And did St. Francis recover it? Nope. Canisius able to hold on to it, but nonetheless, that sets up a 4th and very, very long.
Fourth down and 19.
Loss of about 12 yards off that fumble. So now the question is, what does Canisius do in the situation? You're down by a lot. And now it looks like timeout's going to be called, as that's what the discussion, the huddle Took too long. 3:09 left in the third. St. Francis 43, Canisius 12. This is the Monsignor Martin Class A title. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone, to West New York Athletics. 4th and 19. Long way to go. Got to get to the 28 to pick up the first down. Here's the snap. 4 wide receiver set. Pocket collapsed, and he's sacked hard. What a huge tackle there to set up a turnover on downs. And it was Balaam Miller, the big guy, able to bring Penujev down immediately.
And Miller's one of those key guys on defense. He's a senior listed at 6'5", 260. I mean, even in the Monsignor Martin League, that's a lot. You got to have the right skill set to be able to block a guy like that. I mean, that is just monstrous size mixed with his athletic ability and his speed to get off the line so quick. I mean, he's on the line and then he's in the backfield within a matter of a split second as a quarterback. Penuchev, that's his worst nightmare, as you can see. He's been fearful of that all night. Nowhere to step up in the pocket, nowhere to really make a play.
Now for the jet sweep on the right side, picking up the first down and more, and walking out of bounds in one play, moving the ball down the field nicely. That was Kainan Yolanga, the junior. And we'll talk a little bit about Balaam Miller in a little bit, as he's had a dominant season so far. He's now got 3 sacks on the season. But right now the offense in one play is clicking. Once again, jet sweep. Yolanga once more, heading it towards quicker along the left hash, able to get a good chunky yardage on the first down carry.
And, you know, I'm really excited, Jake. I'm excited to see what this St. Francis team can do in there as they try to pursue a deep playoff run. They have all the talent, as they've clearly shown. They have great coaching at every end, each side of the ball, and special teams. It's just, you know, a matter of execution. They kind of made some mistakes, let Canisius back in the game momentarily. But if they can continue to limit those as the season goes on, I'm not really sure. If I had to construct a team that would be able to even stop them, maybe, hold them, I don't know how I would do it personally.
So we had a run play on the left side where St. Francis was able to pick up the first down. Off that play, left side cutting it up. Nice, beautiful job to fake the defender. Thought staying along that left side to cut it to the outside, but he went back up the middle to get some extra yardage. How about 90 seconds and counting before the end of the third quarter? 31-point lead for St. Francis, but they're trying to extend it even more. Trying to find a hole to get to. Try to run it up, but this time Canisius is able to clog him and able to bring down the ball carrier, as Yolanga was the ball carrier.
And I said that St. Francis was a young team, too. I just checked the roster of Canisius. They only have 7 seniors, and they only had one guy return on each side for offense and defense. One of the things that Coach Kurzanski mentioned on our Google Sheets for the questionnaire was that they had a plethora of transfers coming in. So it's a young group. They just got to find time to gel and build chemistry.
Chance to try to get into the end zone, but short of a couple of yards. Longa was the ball carrier once more with 30 seconds and counting. Snap. And in it for the touchdown, as the Red Raiders now extend their lead up 49-12 with 13 to go in the third.
You can already feel the championship party starting to brew a little bit here. We heard some fans playing some championship tunes in the first half early. That kind of got halted for a second, but now it's right back in there. You can feel the groove, the rejuvenation. They can feel another league championship coming their way. They still got a whole quarter to go. They just got to get through it, execute, work that clock, and they will be raising another banner and putting another trophy in that shelf case.
Camillo now in for the point after try. The snap's down. The kick is on the way, and it is good. 50-12 is our score. 13 to go in the third. We'll take a break. You're watching Western New York Athletics. Welcome back, everyone, to Western New York Athletics. One guy we wanted to talk about before that touchdown, but saw St. Francis moving the ball down the field well, was the senior defensive tackle and also plays guard is Balam Miller, who had that big sack on Penuchev to create the turnover on downs. Week 4 Trench Trophy nominee, when I spoke to head coach Jerry Smith, he mentioned how Miller has been unrecruited but is hoping to get an offer soon, as the coach believes he deserves it due to his athletic abilities we've seen throughout this contest. And also, mentioned that whoever does get him when he plays college ball, as Canisius recovers the ball there, that whoever gets him, you can see you'll see Miller, they'll surprise some good teams.
Well, they're getting a gem in Balam Miller, whoever that is. He's got the size, the strength, but then you mix in the physicality, the fierceness, I am going to run through you. I'm going to be in the backfield. I'm going to be sacking the quarterback. I am making the play. That's the ball hawk mentality. Plus, the IQ, too. There's always that guy on defense who can really dissect an offense. It's like having another coach on there. I mean, that is Balam Miller, what he does out there for this team. It really is. He makes such an impact.
With a carry up the middle and only getting about a yard or so. Set up a second down, about 9 to go, and the clock hits 0 here to signal the end of the third quarter. St. Francis dominant performance. Seems like an understatement. They have been great throughout this game as they're in hopes of trying to get back-to-back Monsignor Martin Class A championships. But we'll take a break for the start of the fourth quarter. 50-12 is our score in favor of the Red Raiders. Welcome back, everyone, to Western New York Athletics. Screenplay for Canisius as they try to get close to the first down marker and short about a couple of yards. And as we've seen on the defensive side of the ball, Colin, looks like St. Francis put a little bit of their second stringers out there.
Well, and it's nice, that those kids are going to get a chance to play a full quarter, really. But in this game, no sense in having your starters out there risking an injury. They did their job. They came into work. They clocked in, played about as perfect as you can, and they're clocking out. You see all the smiles on the faces. They're laughing, slapping each other up, having a great time.
And now it's over to Mike Doctor, who once again drops the pass. It's now 4th and 2.
So now you got to give credit to, I don't think people realize, too, like a second string in football, what they do for a team in practice, too. They simulate what the other team runs. They're the ones who are getting beat up like rag dolls, getting tossed around by the starters, day in and day out just to make the starters better. And when those kids get their time to shine or their name's called up, they usually make the most of it.
Off the draw play and not going anywhere. Another turnover on downs. It didn't even get back to the line of scrimmage. They lost yardage, and St. Francis will take over in Canisius territory.
And we'll have to see what the quarterback change is for the offense. We have Keon Ulanga. He's listed as a quarterback. Landon Welka, number 28, is listed as a quarterback. So there's 3 on the depth chart as of right now. We'll have to see who it is coming in under center or in shotgun.
And it looks like we've just been told as well that they're going to have a running clock now the rest of the way. And Keon, like you mentioned, Colin, Keon Ulanga is in at quarterback. They have the second stringers out there. Where here's the snap off the draw play, and immediately stuffed behind the line of scrimmage. Maybe losing about a yard or two.
Kendall, the ball carrier. No gain, second down.
Go about the 3 wide receiver set. Be second down and 11. One man in motion. Off the draw play with a big hole off the left side. Able to punch it through and able to make this third down a lot easier. And it looks like we have an injury down. St. Francis player down. The clock stops at 10 minutes and 11 seconds. We'll take a timeout here in the broadcast booth. You're watching Western New York Athletics. Welcome back, everyone, to Western New York Athletics. Setting up a third down at about 5 or 6 yards to go. They'll just keep the running attack going, getting about a yard or so. The ball's on the ground, but they'll say that the ball carrier was down by contact. As the clock will keep ticking away here on this runoff. Set up a third down and about 4 yards to go.
And Jake, that talent level doesn't change too much when they take out the starters and bring in the second stringers. They might not have the size that some of the starters do, but you saw it was Robert Kendall Jr. on that one run on second down where he hit the hole with a burst of speed, doing his best Ricardo Kidd impression.
Ilonga looking, feeling the pressure, try to use his speed as he gets pushed towards out of bounds, as he was short about a couple of yards. And that will bring up should be a turnover on downs as Canisius will head back out there with their offense.
Canisius takes over on downs.
Now for Canisius, you know, you're going to end up losing this game, but if you can find a way to just get a couple scores, make it more respectable, get some momentum, some positive momentum carried over for next season. It's not the way you wanted to end it, but you got a key playoff win against St. Joe's. It's a tough schedule for both teams, and the fact that they're in this position with some battle scars is very impressive, though. The tough schedule they play and some of the wins they come up with, it really shows a lot about the character and the grit of these two programs. And this has been the Goliath matchup for a couple years now, and St. Francis going to come out on top in this one. But like I said, at the end of the third quarter, Canisius 7 seniors, and you give them another offseason, you give them time to build some chemistry, work with each other. You know, they'll start to build that bond eventually, and you combine that with the experience. That we see this game again next year. We're in the same position. Could be a lot different.
Off the reverse play, getting the hole past the midfield marker, and still staying up on his feet past the 40 and down at the 35-yard line. It's a little bit tough to see who was that ball carrier. It looks like it was Damari Yancey, the sophomore, who off that end-around play, able to help Canisius get in a more comfortable spot to try to put some more points on the board.
Their biggest loss is going to be Michael Doctor, the number 3, the wide receiver. By far the biggest loss. Other than that, it's Rico Brown, Griffin Reagan, Gavin Glapa, Nicholas Kerwin, Joseph Golembiski, and Kevin Nelson, and Colin Smith.
It looks like about maybe a gain of a yard or so on that first down carry by the Crusaders.
In 1, 2nd and 9.
Let's go, 2-5!
So St. Francis still undetermined who they're going to be playing next week after they advance past this championship game here. There were some talks about which teams it's going to be. We're not really too sure, though, so we don't want to mislead anyone, but I can imagine that game is going to be closer than this and by far one of the toughest matchups that St. Francis has faced all year.
Oh, no doubt, and that's what happened last year when they won the Mount St. Martin Class A title game, went to the State Catholic championship games, had a nice contending battle there to try to win it, but did fall short. But now they have an opportunity to head back there, and try and get it. Third down, about 9 to go. Penychev looking left all night, trying to find a man, and it falls incomplete.
Benches pass incomplete. 4th down.
Not bad. He doesn't handle pressure very well. Yeah. Not as good as Zimmerman did.
So now for Penychev and this Canisius offense trying to muster something. They haven't been able to score since towards the end of the second half. End of the first half. And with Dean in motion, feeling the pressure, and that falls down. but they're going to signal it as a tipped ball. It'll be incomplete. Another turnover on downs, and St. Francis will take over.
And the pass is incomplete.
I think one of the looming off-season questions for Canisius, for head coach Craig Krasansky, is going to be, who's your starting quarterback? Vincent Zimmerman and Nicholas Penychev are both juniors. They're both going to be seniors next year. Both of them are going to want that starting spot in their final varsity season. That's going to be a battle of the century. Who comes out on top in that? Your main receiver, Jaden Clark, is only a sophomore. You got him for 2 more years.
Under center, now with the run play. Just quickly gaining about a yard or so. It's set up a 2nd down and 9. So we got less than 5 minutes and 30 seconds to go here in this game.
And your 3 leading rushers, Dyrell Howard Dawson Jr., Damari Yancey, sophomore, and then Nigel Lash Jr. So you got your top 3 rushers coming back on offense as well for the Crusaders.
For another run play, this one going behind the line of scrimmage. Looks like getting back to the original spot. Set up about 3rd down and about 10 to go.
Fans, don't forget at the end of the game, stick around for the trophy presentation right at midfield.
But not enough praise is given to the St. Francis team, though. I mean, they have quite a bit of seniors on their team, and their season's far from over. But I can imagine they continue to regroup and reload year in and year out.
On a nice carry there was a move it towards that left side, using the offensive line there to get some extra yardage. Set up a 4th down and about a yard or maybe 2 yards to go.
With the carry.
But a chance here to get the 1st down and just keep killing as much clock as they can. And the old line looked like they jumped. With that false start, they'll move him back about 5 yards, set up a 4th down, about 8.
Brings up 4th down and 7.
Now the pass here, try to get it and corral it down, but it falls incomplete when they try to hit the turf. It'll be a turnover on downs.
Crusaders take over on downs. 1st and 10.
I think my player of the game personally, easily and unanimously, got to be between all of us up here. Ricardo Kidd, 3 rushing touchdowns. Had a big chunk of that 305 on the ground for St. Francis, which is 305 out of their 377. So right around, that's about 80% of their total offense right there. Rough guesstimate, but that's what it's been all year. They'll go to the pass when they have to, but that rushing attack and that ground game has been so steady for them. One of the big reasons why they're going to be coming out with a huge victory tonight.
Canisius picks about a couple of yards with less than 3 minutes to go here in the game.
And as for the defense, too, it's almost scary identical to what the yardage was the last time these two met up. It was 396, 147 in favor of St. Francis. This time around, it's 377 to 108. So they've actually, 191. So they've given up a little more, but they've also put up. They might be able to put up more if they get the ball back.
With one man in motion with 3 wide receivers, quick pass caught. Still able to stay up on his feet, try and pick up the first down. It looked like he did, along with a couple more yards as well. You mentioned earlier, Colin, about how young this team is. Only 2 seniors start here, and it shows that the other classmen throughout the season made a big impact. Now, I know that the score says what it says on your screen, but regardless, Canisius has had a phenomenal season, in terms of what they've been able to deal with the personnel they have. And, they're all coming back next year, so they're all going to get affiliated with the offense, and that's been also under a first-year head coach as well. Now, it's not a guy who is new to the whole high school scene, but first year of the program as well as Canisius, able to take it for 6 to make this now 50-18. And Krasinski having these kids for at least 1, if not for some of them 2 more seasons, with a chance to make a big impact, for this football program next year.
Well, and that's the thing with these schools. These kids don't always grow up together. They come from different places. Like the kids I played with, I was playing since we were 9 years old, so we had built that chemistry for a long time. But, they have the talent. It's just about they got to build it in the off season, but then realize how their connection, how they communicate with each other, how they play with each other, how they have each other's backs, how that translates on game day. And, they have a long off season to be able to do that.
Ball is bobbled, but they try to fire it. And he's able to corral it in for the 2-point conversion with 1:13 left to go in the game to make this now 50-20. So we'll do here is we'll stay up here on the broadcast booth as you see the kicking and return teams on the sidelines for Canisius and St. Francis about to take part. And you know what? Give credit to what St. Francis has done so far. Like we mentioned earlier in the broadcast about how, the way these schedules are set up for both the private schools, especially for Canisius and St. Francis, along with St. Joe's as well, where they try to set up the schedule in the way where it's not necessarily for wins when it comes to non-league games. It's just trying to find the best matchups to show that, hey, these teams are for real. This is who you got to go up against. This is how you try to get better, is playing up against good competition. And then they bring that here back to Section 6 to play against their Monsignor Martin League with the likes of St. Francis, Canisius, St. Joe's, and so on and so forth. And that's what's led to their success, for Monsignor Martin to have such a very tough competitive league.
And, the dream, I think that's a good point. The dream is to go undefeated, right? Like, no one wants to lose. Why would you go out there if you wanted to lose? But, every now and then, sometimes you need to be humbled. You need to be checked. Okay, so we lost this game. What can we work on? How can we improve in the week of practice and for the next game? Especially good teams. You don't see them lose a couple games in a row. Like for St. Francis, if they lost one in the year, they bounced right back the game after. They didn't go on a losing streak after that. They found a way to get things figured out after they got humbled. And that was by McDowell, and it was a team from Akron, Ohio. So we don't even know what those teams are like out in Akron, Ohio. I'm sure it was a powerhouse. So they went out, they found the toughest opponents, they fought hard. If they came up with a win, great. But if not, they got great lessons out of it that translate over into the few league games they have. And even though there are a few games, they make sure they can dominate them.
Now for the draw play, moving it over. Met up by a couple of Crusader defenders as we now hit 1 minute remaining here in this game. And the shine light onto one certain player as we're almost at the end of this game is to mention about a sophomore who's on the San Francisco squad. His name's Ethan Farley, who plays offensive and defensive tackle. Before the season got started, tragedy struck the Farley family as Ethan's father, Donnie, passed away this past summer due to a battle with cancer. And since then, it's been Ethan's mission to dedicate the season to his father, and now the Red Raiders have a chance to not only win the Monsignor Championship, but possibly go to the state championship And as always, the Western New York Athletics crew send their hearts and prayers to Ethan and the rest of his family. Well, Ethan, congratulations, and the rest of the St. Francis squad, congratulations on repeating as Monsignor Martin Class A champions, as we have about 10 seconds and counting. St. Francis on their home turf defeats Canisius 50-20. I want to thank everyone for tuning into this broadcast live on Western New York Athletics. For our camera guy, Greg Koski, our producer, Alex Kolsty, our color commentator, Colin Wolf, my name is Jacob Hayek, signing off on this broadcast. Thank you guys for tuning in, and enjoy the rest of your weekend.